What's going on, guys? Austin Zabak here with another YouTube video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how you can get your first wholesale deal in 30 days or less. And I think there's a lot of people out there that'll tell you that it can't be done, right? And it absolutely can be done, and you can get a wholesale deal in less than 30 days and get paid on it, okay? Now, that does not mean that everybody's going to do it. It doesn't mean, anything like that, but it does mean that it is 100% possible, and by the end of the video, you're gonna know how. So I've actually been wholesaling for 8 years now, okay? It actually took me 8 years ago, 9 months to get my first wholesale deal. So hopefully by the end of the video, you'll have enough knowledge to where it does not take you 9 months to get your first deal. Now, over the last 8 years, I've done over 2,000 transactions, okay? And now currently today, we wholesale anywhere from 30 to 40 houses a month, and we're looking to scale even more. Getting your first deal can be a lot of fun, but it can also be very challenging, right? You don't know exactly what to do, how to get marketing out there, who do you talk to, what do you say, and there's all these different things that you're not sure of, right? And like, what do I put on the contract? And really, there's a ton of different questions that might be going through your mind right now. So again, hopefully I'm able to answer some of those questions, because I really do believe that wholesaling is a phenomenal industry. And there's so many ways that you can go out there and make 5 or 10 grand or 20 grand or whatever. But at the end of the day, wholesaling is a great way to get your foot into the door with real estate, and over time, build a really long-term, wealth for yourself, right? Build that wealth for yourself and for your family, right? Because real estate is where it's at. I mean, that's where everybody's creating wealth, right? When you look at, 90% of all self-made, millionaires and billionaires on the planet did it through real estate, that is a no-joke statistic. Okay, so with all the different marketing out there that you can do, right, what I would recommend is you focusing on one form of marketing, right? The problem that most people have when they get into wholesaling is they try to do too many things at the same time, right? And in the beginning, all you got to do, right, again, the entire goal is to get one deal, okay? So you do not need to be doing 100 different things to get one deal, right? You need to be doing one thing at a very high level. So we want to start there. First and foremost, do one thing and one thing only. Now, when we're looking at all the different types of marketing that are out there, the main question you have to ask yourself is, do you have more money or do you have more time, right? If you have more money, then you can actually, invest a little bit of money to get a deal, right? If you have more time, then you're going to put a little bit more time, but you don't have as much money. So every type of marketing will either take time or it'll take money, right? One or the other. And there are different types of marketing that obviously take both. So if you don't have any money, okay, or you don't have very much money, right, but you have time, then what I would recommend that you do is you drive for dollars, okay? Now, there's a phenomenal app on your phone, and I'm going to put everything down below, but it basically is called Deal Machine, okay? And you can actually go to www.topd4d.com, and I'll put it down below as well. I think if you use the discount code ZABAK, you'll actually get a deal on it. But basically, it is a great app to find deals. So all you're going to do is you're going to get in your car, okay, and you're going to drive through a neighborhood where you live, okay, a neighborhood where there might be houses that have a little bit of distress, right? They might be run down a little bit, okay? Houses that maybe look like they need a little bit of work. And you're going to drive through these neighborhoods, and you're going to identify different houses as you're driving that look like they could use some work, right? That look like maybe they're abandoned, maybe they're vacant, right? Maybe the weeds are overgrown, okay? Whatever it might be, you're going to identify those houses, and you're going to basically write down the address, okay? Now, if you use Deal Machine, you can actually do everything in the app, so you can save the addresses and everything like that, okay? So again, with wholesaling, all we're trying to do is find one good deal, right? To get one wholesale deal in less than 30 days, we just need to find one person that wants to sell their property at a discount, okay? So it really is not that complicated. It's just a matter of finding that person, right? So if we go out and we drive for dollars for 4 hours one day, and we identify, 100 houses that have the potential of the homeowner that wants to sell at a little bit of a discount, then all we've got to do is have 100 conversations with 100 different people and ask them basically if they're interested in selling. And again, we can do all this in Deal Machine, right? So we can actually send them a text message, we can call them, we can skip trace all of their information right inside of Deal Machine, okay? Now, there are some other different softwares that you can get as well for super low cost, and I'll put that down below, but you really don't need all of that fancy stuff when you're getting started, right? we're going to have 100 I mean, you could go knock on their door if you wanted to and have the conversation and not spend a dime on skip tracing or anything like that, right? So again, it's all about keeping it simple in the beginning. All it boils down to is how many conversations can I have with homeowners that might want to sell, and then how many times can I basically ask them if they'd be willing to take a cash offer. What you have to remember with wholesaling, and really with any industry that you pursue, is it's a numbers game, right? You know, all you got to do is play the numbers. If you play the numbers, you will get a deal in 30 days, right? If you're not getting a deal, then it means you're not playing the numbers, because it just is simply a numbers game, right? If I talk to enough people and I say, hey, my name's Austin, and I see you in a house right here on 123 Main Street. You know, I'm actually a cash investor, and I was just curious, have you ever thought about selling, right? And if I talk to enough people, somebody's going to say yes. And that's all it takes, right? When somebody says yes, then now we're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to basically figure out what they want for the property, right? And now we're going to run comparable analysis report on it pretty much, right? We're going to look at the property and we're going to say, okay, what is the property worth, right? What's the ARV of the property, right? The after repair value. And you probably already know this if you've done a little bit of research within the wholesaling world, right? And then we're basically going to do some simple math to figure out how much we can actually offer on that property. And again, the math, I think people, again, they overcomplicate it, right? I get if you're brand new to the real estate industry or whatever, but you have to understand that the math is also pretty simple, right? Relatively. At least you can do some generic numbers without knowing a ton, right? You can look at a property and say, okay, you know, is it beat to crap or is it in pretty good shape, right? And so when we're looking at what we can make an offer, you know, we're trying to figure out, you know, how much room do we need at below market value? If it's going to be worth $500,000 when it's all said and done, but it's beat to crap, well, roughly how much is it going to cost to get it to that level where it looks like a $500,000 property, right? And if you don't know anything about construction, then you can talk to people and you can learn things. So I think, again, you know, we get in our own head, like we have to know everything. And the reality of it is, to get your first wholesale deal in less than 30 days, you don't have to know everything about everything, right? You've got to get creative, right? If you don't know an answer, then you ask somebody who does, right? You call people, you get in Facebook groups, you call a contractor, you call a handyman. You say, hey, how much would it cost to fix this thing up, right? And you start to figure out where you can make your offer, okay? Now, when you make your offer, all you got to do now is you've got to find a cash buyer, right? And that is not that complicated either. So really, it's as simple as, I'm going to backtrack for just a minute, because if you're still watching, this is very important, so make sure you stay to the very end, okay? All it is to get your first wholesale deal in 30 days or less is basically pick your form of marketing, right? I love driving for dollars, okay? Find a beat down property. Talk to a bunch of homeowners, right? Determine if they're interested in selling, okay? Figure out what you can offer on the property, okay? And then find your cash buyer. And you just completed your first wholesale deal, right? Again, very simple. So how do you find a cash buyer, right? You can use an app like PropStream or a software like PropStream, right? www.topredata.com. If you're an agent, you can figure out all the cash transactions in that area in the last 90 or 180 days, right? And those are your cash buyers. And now you can give them a call and you can ask them if they're interested in buying a property near where they just purchased a property, right? So again, keeping it very simple, I believe, in the beginning is really important. And I think the reason it takes people so long to get their first deal is they overcomplicate it. They want to know everything about everything, right? And you're not going to know everything about everything in any short period of time. It's going to take a long time to where you do know that much information about that industry. Now, the methodology in which you approach it, right, could change, right? The numbers could change. Things like that will change, okay? But at the end of the day, getting a wholesale deal, it will always be talking to a homeowner, figuring out if they're willing to sell, making a cash offer, getting the property under contract, and then finding a cash buyer, right? There's about 5 main pillars to getting a deal, okay? And then you can duplicate that and you can rinse and repeat as many times as you like. And then eventually, if you want to do 5 deals a month or 10 deals a month or 20 or 30 deals a month and you want to turn it into a 7-figure business, then you could do that, right? Or you could do a deal a month, make $100,000 a year, and that's a phenomenal thing. So understand, if you've ever been interested in it, I believe it is a phenomenal industry where you're actually helping people, right? You're actually helping a seller get out of a situation, And then you're actually helping a buyer find a good deal, right? Because the flippers and the landlords, they were going to have to get a hold of the seller anyways. And a lot of times they're too busy to doing what they're doing to get a hold of the seller. So again, in conclusion, my favorite forms of marketing are like Deal Machine and like door knocking, okay? If you're trying to get your first wholesale deal, I think that's the best way. Obviously, you can cold call, you can do pay-per-click, you can do direct mail, you can do bandit signs, there's so many different things that you can do to find a deal, right? But at the end of the day, what you really want to do is you want to do what works best, and you want to do one thing in the beginning, right? And again, if you don't have a lot of money, then you can't really be doing pay-per-click or direct mail or anything like that, because all of that costs a lot of money, right? So in the beginning, you got to keep it real simple, okay? Keep it real simple, real easy, and you can get a deal in 30 days or less. It is not that complicated. I believe in you. I believe you can do it. Make sure you're asking a bunch of questions along the way, you're talking to people along the way, and you figure it out along the way, okay? If you have any questions also, I'd be happy to answer them. Drop in the comment section down below, send me a DM on Instagram, send me a message on Facebook, whatever it might be, and I would be happy to help as much as I possibly can. If you haven't already, I would really appreciate it if you would smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe if you haven't already as well, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.